Well, hi everybody. Hopefully you guys are having a good day or good night. Today we're going to be talking about a interesting little letter. It's of German origin. For any Germans out there, apologies on my translation for one, and on my pronunciation for the other. So without further ado, let's get into the letter. Dear Mr. Reuter, today I have to go over and answer your two letters. Please do not be angry with me because you have not heard from me in so long. One event had replaced another, and I forgot everything else around me, especially my letter debts. Thank you very much for your letters. Mr. Reuter, please turn a blind eye and do not fault me that I write with this machine. But you know isn't that noticeable and goes a little faster. Of course, you have to accept any typing defects, and must not laugh at me that sometimes that this happens, and that you miss it. Now, I want to go straight into answering your dear lines. But you were really lucky that you were on a few days off when your brother was on vacation. Hopefully, that was really watered down. With horror, however, I read the friendship with Annie, and one more thread hung. But how can you go that far? I knew my Mr. Reuter would also be celebrating an engagement, and should it still be in the war? They insulted me directly. The women are not the weaker sex. I am curious when I painted a card in my hands. We got engaged. Annie Will Reuter. However, I am quite pleased there has not been a break, but that the wise Mr. Reuter has given in this time. Do you still come home every 3 weeks? Why were you sick? Was the disease more serious? I hope not. That is very bad when your relatives are evacuated. But I believe you are grilled by this. But maybe it does not have to get that far. Now I want to tell you about the events that changed the day to day. It's about Ludwig. One day it was said that all radio operators in Magdeburg were coming to the Earth troop. Ludwig was also there, but the next day he was transferred back and he enjoyed it very much. Now he kept writing to me about the jagged machines and that he was looking forward to flying so much. Every letter was full of enthusiasm for hunting. A week ago I received a letter stating that he was being transferred to the Earth troop Klongratz, and indeed the radio operators have been sitting since September 21st in Klonsgrast Protectorate. I do not know any more details yet, but he will probably remain subordinate to the Air Force, and that is his consolation, because he did not want to be unfaithful to the Air Force. You can understand that one was thrown from one surprise to another, and forgot about everything else. In addition, we have to complain about another bereavement in my relatives. My cousin from Brunberg is one of the 9 fallen in Latvia. Is on 9/9, so September 9th, correction, fallen in Latvia at the age of 19. Dear Mr. Reuter, this is a painful loss. He was the only son, and should inherit a great carpenter's workshop at home. That is what we had sacrificed in the war, which is now the 9th soldier in my relatives, basically, relatives. All 9 died on the Eastern Front. And that is now so difficult. Everyone asks me whether my bridegroom has fallen, because I'm walking in my mourning clothes. My father has now moved back into his location is only 1 kilometer away from us at home, and he can come eat every meal. Postal protection is written to this association, but the subordinate to the Waffen SS. Leo is still in Berlin and is waiting to be transferred within the Reich. Munster is very likely to be considered, and all I know about Louis is the wedding was postponed because the bridegroom had to leave again. Hildy was there and sent me the best regards to you. We are all healthy, thank you. My mother is also happy at the moment. For today, I want to close and greet you warmly. Many warm greetings also from my relatives. Hopefully, you will soon have an opportunity to make an appointment in Ansbach. So, this letter is interesting in a few senses. A lot of the German letters you see from the war back forth are going to be written in cursive and written very neatly. If you look at a lot of German letters, the penmanship is impeccable. This is a typed one. Seems this was written by a young lady who is talking to a friend. Doesn't really seem like a relative, but a close friend. Some of the interesting things in here, though, are talking about basically what happened with the war. And one of the things I always find interesting on the describances of how they're feeling, the celebration of engagements that this individual she's writing is having. The I do not know who, but the individuals, or maybe the party, um, as she is talking about, insulting, saying the women are the weaker sex. And she does not agree with that and seems to want to go against that norm. A very interesting part there, too. And then asking him, like, when he's coming home, what he's doing, and then talking about, like, her cousin operating in the Luftwaffe and the interesting, I guess, planes. I mean, this is 1944. Not entirely sure if the jets were being developed at this point, the Me-262s. But if so, I mean, maybe that's what he's talking about when they're talking about the jagged machines that he was looking forward to flying. Then going down to her cousin, I mean, 9 people in her family at this point have died on the Eastern Front. Like the losses, it's just the strict losses of the German society. I cannot say anything, I guess, against the party ideologies or anything because they made their own bed, so to speak. But 9 individuals that were probably semi-close at that point, all dying on the Eastern Front fighting Russia. And curious on like her thoughts, maybe personal at that situation, how she feels of what the Germans have been doing, or her feelings towards the Russians. And then her father talking about that conscription, like late war, how her father's now doing some, I guess, postal protection. I mean, being a subordinate to the Waffen SS. It's interesting at that point too, like going back through, and a lot of these letters are stuff like that, where sometimes you have to understand like the context they're talking about. A lot of these things are still being censored, and you can't write certain things. But even with what the censors are, you still can take some statements from it and see the perspectives. And this seems like maybe a typist doing some kind of work for the German government, maybe not, but doing something, and she was thinking maybe helping her country and how she is feeling. Like this is August, I believe, of 1944, and just looking at it, you can see like her excitedness about the individual she's writing getting married, to the sadness, and then back to excitedness, and then to seeming questioning, doubting maybe, all in one letter, trying to go and talk to someone that she knows. Hopefully my next letter will actually have a cover to it, and I'll actually be able to translate a little more. But hopefully you enjoyed the letter for today, and maybe soon I should get another letter, hopefully next time French. But for now, this is it. So you all have a wonderful day, a pleasant night, and this is me signing off.